Hello, lovely people.
Hello, Devox.
Hi there. So I'm kind of co-hosting this session with Liz
Kind
here.
of? Why kind of?
Well,
You're co-hosting.
yes. And we have the system where we have one microphone, so this is our token. And whoever has the token, he can speak. But you guys are wired up, so.
Whenever we want, we can say
Okay,
any joke
so we can.
So you can
Okay.
pop up the.
Yeah, we have parallel
jokes.
workflows,
It's
but
all
we
on
have sequential
camera, guys.
workflows.
Oh, yeah, sequential.
Yeah, it's also recorded. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here because we had this similar session last year, but we came back from Devox Morocco and we got both sick. I got very sick. It's like less sick. That was the year before, and
the year before.
so I had to fly.
You're feeling good, right?
I'm
Okay.
good now. Yeah, so yeah, I had to fly back like on Wednesday last year, and So anyway, this year's we're much better situation. And I think we could just do a quick round and just introduce ourselves. Let's start with Liz.
Okay, thank you, Dimitris. I'm Lisa. I'm with the LangChain4j project from the start. We'll talk about that later, how this came to happen. Recently, I joined Oracle as developer advocate for Java and AI. So not only covering the frameworks like LangChain4j and Spring AI, but also the ML part. So if you have any ideas how Java should evolve or frustrations that Java doesn't support things enough, I'm the person to talk to complain to. I'm really happy to try to make things happen in that ecosystem.
Okay, I'm next.
Who are you?
Token. So I'm Dimitris. I used to work for Red Hat for 20 years. The last 3 months we're IBM, so we have a nice representation up here. And roughly 15 years I spent on the JBoss application server team, running the team, and the last 7 mostly on the Quarkus side.
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Guillaume Laforge. I'm working for Google Cloud in particular. I've been focusing on generative AI for the past 2 years and a half or something like this. And I'm working on the integration with Gemini, Vertex AI, which is part of the Google Cloud AI stuff. And people probably know me more for Apache Groovy, the Groovy programming language. No? Yeah? Some remember that stuff? Ah, yeah, thank you. And what else? Yeah, and we'll talk about this later, but I'm also a committer on ADK, Agent Development Kit for Java. And that's it.
And I'm Julien Dubois. I work for Microsoft, so we got all the US big techs together, except Amazon, to join next time. I lead the Java developer advocacy team at Microsoft, so we do, of course, GenAI and LangChain4j. We do other AI stuff like GitHub Copilot, VS Code for Java, all of this. And I've been contributing to LangChain4j for, I don't know, 2 years maybe.
One of the active contributors to the project.
Yeah. Well, I think I started because I saw something from you. But,
okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
but you became more active actually.
We have a long history with Guillaume. We used to work together at Spring, Quarkus and Spring. Like we were this, we were the Spring team, you were Quarkus, and then we're all together. Oh, you've got 2/3 of Spring's was France. The French Spring subsidiary.
At some point, yes.
2/3 of it.
Okay. All right. So so let's take it a bit back, like to see how this whole thing started. I think it was about that time. Yeah, that was a bit over like 2.5 years ago. Dimitro, totally unknown at this point, just put out this LangChain4j release. At that point, we thought it was a port, but it wasn't a port. It was like a totally new,
inspired from.
Yeah, I still say a port just to make it easier, but
but it's not a port.
It's not a port, and it's also inspired not just by LangChain4j, but Llama Index also and other projects. We kind of knew like the name. We have checked it out at some point, but it was not really known. So maybe Liz knows more about like the story because you were working together
early
with
days,
Dimitro, right?
Yeah, so it's something that Dimitri started on his own when he saw the Python LangChain project take off, and he said we really need this in Java. And since he didn't find it, he started it, which was really nice. We've then been using this at work. So we both worked for a bioinformatics company, and we've been basically asking people what use cases would you see for AI processes in the company. And yeah, that's how we got our first RAG project. And it was nice because we were coding it together, and then there was a lot of feedback for LangChain4j. That's how it started. And then it was a very small project until Stefan Janssen basically picked it up and asked, hey, this is really cool. I want this at DevVox Belgium. Can you guys present it? And then the reason it was not Dimitro presenting, like this is a red line throughout my career that I'm presenting things of other people. But yeah, he is not very comfortable being on the stage, but he liked the way I presented the AI stuff in our company, and that's how I got in there. I got to do it. We prepared it together. It's very much also what he wanted to show. And there it really exploded because, yeah, right after the talk, Dimitris came to me. You want to continue?
Yeah, so 2 years ago here at DevVox, I went to your talk. I had it in my list. I want to see that talk, and then I saw this seminal talk because it was really fantastic, and it really like a light bump went up because since ChatGPT went out at Red Hat, we'd been looking into AI, all the teams, everyone was looking how they're going to use it and so on. Different ideas, but nothing really clicked, nothing really clicked until I saw this presentation. And that moment, immediately I found, this is fantastic, we really need to collaborate. And then you point me to Dmitro. Dmitro was in the room. I got to Dmitro and I told him, you have something really important here. And I think we should work together to popularize it and, make it help with the community and so on. And I knew Dmitro was just a part-time contributor. I've been a part-time contributor in my past. I know how hard it is, to do it on the side. So I told him, I don't know what you want to do with this, but I'll hire you right now. And at that event, there was also, is George here in the audience? Yeah. George was here in the corridor. So I went to George, and in the demo, you showed LangChain4j with Spring Boot. So I went to look, George, drop everything you do and start writing an extension now. So George started writing an extension right there in the chairs, up there. And I think by the time we did the BOF, now,
there was a release already.
He had an alpha version of something. And Max was there also. So the next day, we actually met again with the team. Were you there? Yeah. Yes. And we demoed it to them and then showed the vision, this how to look like, and Quarkus, Dev UI, they all works nice. And then, and then we went back. And, 6 weeks later, we had the first official release coming out with the team. We presented it. And it's been a roller coaster ever since because one thing brings the other. More features, more contributors. You guys came in, and I'll let you tell your stories, and it grew. I think it's now pretty much the de facto standard outside the Spring world, although it works great on Spring as well. And it shows the power of communities, also the power of this thing here. Where
the power of the community.
Things happen just before because you are there. You speak to other people. It's a great story basically, and for you as well. I'm sorry.
So for me, I think that was before maybe mentioning that. I think there was the beginning of the support for Gemini and our older models as well, Palm. And I was but we're releasing new models, etc. So I saw this support, and maybe we can improve it, add features, etc. So I started contributing, fixes or new features to the existing embryonic model that was there already. And then later on, I also, took ownership. Maybe not. I'm not the only one contributing to those modules, but all the modules related to Google, Gemini, Vertex AI, etc. Had the chance to further work on them. And whenever I got the chance, so for example, at Evox, I remember a nice drink we had together with Dimitris and his wife. And
that was that first Evox, right?
That was the first one. And then also later on, I had like a full day of collaborative work with Dimitris when I was in Munich for some other event. So this continues. I haven't been as active this year because I've been busy, quite busy, but I'd like to build some new integrations with the latest SDK for Gemini. So there's definitely more coming. And yeah, I guess you wanted me to speak about this integration. So Google released the agent development kit. This is an agentic framework, just like now LangChain4j is also. Being the kind of guy I am, like wanting to improve things for Java developers because, hey, it could be improved in a way or it's not idiomatic or something. So I started contributing some things to the ADK project. And one limitation of ADK at the time was that only Gemini and Claude models were supported. And I'm like, yeah, but if I could just plug LangChain4j, I could use any model that's supported for LangChain4j. So quite quickly, I'm like, okay, let's build one and let's try to contribute it to the ADK project. So there's a bridge between those two projects, and you could have an ADK agent using a LangChain4j model or an ADK agent using an agent built with the agentic module. You can mix and match if you want. So yeah, that's I think that's about it for my story and this article.
Just before we go to Julian, I think that shows the power also of like community. Like you have one project that acts as a bridge to everything else. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You could just
totally.
Julian,
so I got starting. So adding, of course, features for lots of Microsoft technologies, around OpenAI, those different SDKs, and also like blob storage for storing data, AI search for looking for data and ranking it. So I've added mostly, let's say, Microsoft-oriented technologies. Initially, now I can't tell it, but like I don't think anybody knows it. We got a new SDK. We got the OpenAI official SDK that we're pushing, and initially we had different SDKs, like the Azure OpenAI one and the Azure Inference SDK. And I knew, like more than 1 year before that, those would be like deprecated and replaced by OpenAI. So I knew the customers would be annoyed if they were using the SDKs directly. So I thought LangChain4j was a great idea because you would have a layer of abstraction, and customers wouldn't be annoyed by the change of SDK, which, well, for me, perfectly worked. Like people using LangChain4j, they
were shielded from the changes under the hood.
Like, I mean, we did that, but we're not the only one. Like AI is changing super fast. So it's really good to have a framework that is on top of this.
An abstraction layer.
Yeah, an abstraction layer. Like Spring, like Hibernate, the same thing. I mean, that's, for me, that's not random. Like we're framework guys. Really. But yeah, with us, I mean, with the kind of people who love to have frameworks to be more productive and have an abstraction layer. And I don't think that's random that it's Quarkus and Spring people who are embracing things like LangChain4j. And I'm seeing the same pushback from some people. They come back to me and say, "Oh, I'm not using LangChain4j. I could code it by myself much better." I had the same thing with Spring like 20 years ago. I don't know if you remember. We had lots of customers like, "I'm not using Spring. I'm coding it better by myself." Like now, like this is all gone, but it takes time for people to understand the power.
And you wanted to highlight this security.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Thanks. But also, yes, we're also very interested about.
Oh, yes. So I wrote it, but I'm not the one who worked most on it. It's somebody else from my team called Brian Benz. That's why I was only talking about what I did, and this is by Brian. So there's a big push by Microsoft to support the open source tools we rely on, but also our customers rely on. That's why we've been pushing. We've worked on LangChain4j to improve the security posture and find some security bugs. We've done the same, by the way, with LangChain for Python and LangChain for JavaScript, and it was much, much worse. Like, I mean, really. But it's important for us to protect our customers, and well, I would say mostly for LangChain JavaScript, also for our own usage. So as we use it internally, we don't want something which has security gaps. So
this is really amazing. So thank you very much that you're helping with that, because it makes it more secure for everybody to use.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we found the fun one. We found the SQL injection issue.
I hope you fixed it before you
announced.
It's
a small one. The best issue was for LangChain JavaScript, where, you know, like when they have a shared memory, like what we have in LangChain4j, the key wasn't computed securely. So you could find stuff from other people. So yeah, no, I mean, we did find some interesting stuff. So it's, I mean, I believe for open source project, it's very important that you have like major US companies who invest money to make them secure for everyone, because like otherwise, like nobody does it. I mean, nobody is going to fix security issues for fun. It's like
it's like writing documentation.
Well, I have this, but like I'm like Guillaume, you know, I have my own project. You know, I have Jeepster, and for Jeepster, we give money. We have bug bounties when there is a security issue, because they're super important, but nobody wants to fix them. So what do? Well, you give money. I find this super good that, you know, those big US companies can, you know, fix that for everyone, because otherwise, yeah, nobody would do it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Next question. We already have it there. This is the progress, that the main points we did since Devoxx 24 in the last year. I think we're by now at version 1.7. Things change fast. And I'm curious about like your favorite new features or features you worked on, if you want to share something.
Who starts on?
Not me, I already talked too much.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, okay. No, I think I wanted to highlight really the importance of MCP and A2A, because that's also something that emerged the past year, basically. So MCP initially was something built into or for cloud desktop, so that we could use the LLM could use tools and so on. And then it actually caught up, and others thought, hey, let's use that for all LLMs to interact with the world. And that's really at the base of AI agents, the fact of having tools that are able to call something else, and MCP having that standard layer in between to help. So that's the usual M times N matrix, where everybody would do the integration for each and every tool and redo that glue all the time. With MCP, we've got this nice integration layer so that we don't have to reinvent all the glue. And then there are new protocols like A2A that came up to see a little bit further. And we've got agents or multi-agents locally, but then they need to talk to other agents. So why not create a protocol to enable that and create an ecosystem of agents or something like this. So I think that's the two super important things that happened this past year. And of course, LangChain4j was at the forefront of this revolution, and quickly I did support for that. So thanks to contributions, in particular from Red Hat, of course. But that's a nice reactive, community going into the right direction.
Yeah, I'm also very much a fan of the Quarkus team's contributions. So many of the really new features have been contributed by the Quarkus team, and very cutting edge. It's not that we've been waiting to see what happens in the other frameworks. Like the Quarkus team really has taken the lead on proposing new features. So among my favorites are the input and output guardrails that help you put a check before anything is sent to the model, whether that check is deterministic or also AI, and then something that will check whatever this model sends back out. And it's really important for going to production use cases. Of course, you want much more control. The Quarkus guys have, not inside LangChain4j, but inside Quarkus, also a testing framework for non-deterministic testing. I hope we can also integrate a part of that, because that's another very important feature to take this stuff to the next level. And then, my all-time favorite features is these tool calling features that get stronger and stronger. Because I was already building kind of agentic systems before we had the agentic module, just by wrapping my AI services as a tool. And then at some point last year came also the fact that you could annotate an AI service as a tool and simply use it as if it was any other tool, but it's actually another agent. Yeah, that's my favorites.
I can add here that Guardlayers specifically were developing the Quarkus code base and they were transferred over to LangChain4j. And then also we were involved, of course, with MCP. Very quickly we had implementation out. And now also I think we collaborate, part of our team, like from the Wildfly team, they produce like the reference implementation and TCK for A2A in Java. Right, and to TCK for across languages.
Across languages,
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So from our side, there's almost a competition. You know, whenever something comes up, you know, someone will just jump onto it and then ask for forgiveness later. That's how it works.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I find quite interesting to see all those competing companies that all work together. That's I haven't seen that before. That's an interesting moment. For me, the thing that where I worked, that I liked most recently was like Guillaume Olrun MCP. It's like super big internally at Microsoft. You know, so we got a GitHub MCP server, we got an Azure MCP server, and lots of others coming up. So for me, I work quite a lot with the Azure MCP team. So that's interesting. Then for me the future is everything around agents. So there's a lot to discuss. I think we're going to discuss that afterwards. So
okay.
But I'm most interested by the future than by what's been happening.
Am I right that you contributed to this MCP server for Azure?
Yeah. So I did Java MCP server, but just to play with it. And then there was an official one being built by the, let's say, real Azure team in charge of it. But when they saw mine, basically my simple test was doing, I was wrapping the Azure CLI, which is pretty powerful. And so they found it like super cool. And like in like 2 or 3 days, they ported that to .NET because, of course, the .NET, it's Microsoft, it's in .NET. So my code now is in the official Azure MCP server, but it's ported to .NET. And then, thanks to GitHub Copilot, I could port my Java code to .NET also. Like they gave me some pull requests. They were surprised that I could code .NET, but I have no idea what I was doing. I was giving GitHub Copilot, here's a Java code, ported to .NET, like, oh, copy paste. And so I could give the illusion of being a .NET coder.
Okay, who is using LangChain4j in the room?
Oh.
That's cool.
We still have a few people to convince, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's more than half.
Should we now switch to demo mode? No. All right. Is somebody using LangChain or any other framework instead? Okay, that makes me happy. No. So yeah, as you all know, Python is still huge in the AI space. And I would say, even though I don't think that Python has an advantage for building AI-powered applications, like in the machine learning space, for sure, for now. But like in these AI-powered applications, like we would build with LangChain4j or LangChain or Spring AI, there's not really a reason that should be in Python. So what's your idea on the uptake in Java, where this is heading compared to Python?
At least, something I noticed from the few customers I've talked to. Big customers are still Java shops. It's not really surprising. And the thing is, they've been experimenting with maybe Python, with LangChain, and so on lately. But then now we need to productionize and put those agents into, or really interact with our existing legacy Java applications and so on. Of course, you could think that, it's microservices all over again. So after all, why not have a Java legacy app called a Python app through REST or something, or MCP or A2A? Of course, we could do that, yet there are, of course, many such companies that don't want to add an extra language, add extra, or find people who are skilled across those two language platforms, etc. And also, we have to acknowledge that in terms of I don't want to do a static language versus dynamic language kind of war, because I was on that battle a long time ago as well. But honestly, I mean, having a language like Java that's battle tested for production use, for integration, for observability, for performance, for observability of performance and so on. Honestly, Python hasn't seen such, how to say that, there hasn't been that much energy spent in the Python community to have that level of production readiness. So my thinking or my impression is that past those experiments that all those developers and companies have done with Python, more and more will likely be interested in doing that, but in Java, so that it fits well with their existing applications.
Yeah, it's true that when you're working for a Java shop, especially in regulated industries, when you have to deal with legal to get a new Python or tech stack approved, it's complicated. Many things are complicated. I mean, even calling an external model is is complicated. Yes.
Where are my tokens going?
For me, it's almost like inevitable that Java will catch up. There's a lot of tools now available, and if you think about it, Java is used wherever there's money, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wherever we touch money, there's Java, right? So the sooner like money gets lost for whatever reason, because you did a bad prototype, like there's no transactions, or there's no failover, and the price systems are characterized by the ability to failure gracefully. So imagine all the systems you've built versus like scripts, right? So it doesn't match. So I think very, very soon we will see people reverting back to Java, because this is where the systems are, this is where the data are, and this is where, with adding a bit of AI in a controlled fashion, you can add value in a controlled way. The other way around, which I've seen this happening, people coming and say, yeah, I'll rewrite everything in Python. Really? That's
good luck.
That's insane. Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, for a prototype, I get it. Maybe a system that interface on top of something else, maybe. But when it comes to maintenance, 80% of application cost is maintenance. How you will maintain Python like after an update? I mean, those problems are solved in Java. Like security, like
we're
you
all
want to
on
access
Java 25. That's well known.
You want to access like a weird service between a firewall, between something. We can do everything in Java. Can you do it in Python? So for me, it's a matter of time. And from what I see now, 2 years after the launch of LangChain and what you see here in the conference, I think we're approaching that stage, and soon the first like prototypes will be in production, and people will come here to talk about what happened and what worked or didn't work for them.
And honestly, just to add to that, I saw that in some of the presentations here at Devox. But so, for example, in the talks that used Quarkus, then you can see, add transactional, or this, or another talk on MCP, Spring AI. So, hey, Bean, and add services, and you see that quickly all those things like. I want this to be transactional. I want this to be injected. I want this to be all the good things we've been doing in Java for the past 20 years. All those good practices are there and are fairly easy to integrate and use with frameworks like LangChain4j, of course, and Quarkus and so on. So that's nice to see.
So for me, it's the whole idea with also using LangChain4j. So on Azure, so I got the stats, but of course I cannot really tell the stats. We clearly have more people using Python and JavaScript because it's historic, and you've got lots of students playing with it. But those people, let's say Java people, there's two characteristics. They do, let's say, at least an order of magnitude more calls than JavaScript and Python people, because they do serious stuff. They go to production. So there are less of them, but they consume a lot more tokens and calls, because
same thing in other clouds.
Yeah, they do.
But I didn't say anything. I'm not allowed to.
Well, you say like order of
No,
magnitude
but it
doesn't mean
sounds logical.
we don't really
Lots
tell
of
numbers.
experiments, but the big players
Yeah,
are
they-
consuming way
yeah,
more.
they're
So-
consuming
and they are using Java.
and they use Java. The only thing that shocks me a bit with the Java users is that for me it takes time to go to production. I was expecting people to use AI in like the next week. Honestly, with LangChain4j, that's not super complicated. Then you'd see them taking time to go to production. I'm guessing that's a bit enterprise specific. But that's where I like LangChain4j. I hope that when we do LangChain4j, we help people go to production faster. And maybe instead of taking 6 months to go to production, they will need 4 months. So we're helping them. So I'm very happy to help people. And probably also Microsoft and Google are happy that people go faster to production.
But I think it's also the question of the maturity of the AI-infused apps. I mean, we've been experimenting, but we haven't all figured out where or how to best make use of AI in our application. So it's not so much a technical problem that makes it hard to put in production, but it's more the fact that we're still trying to figure out what are the best places where to infuse AI into applications. That's my impression, at least.
In the use cases, what surprised me a bit is that we've got all the standard, like standard, SP500 companies, like all the usual ones. They're of course using it, but they're mostly testing. I mean, some are in production, but there's a lot of tests. What I'm surprised to see in production, lots of like mobile gaming companies. They do Java on Android, so they're doing Java on the front end. So they do Java on the back end too, probably. And I see a lot of mobile gaming companies using AI with LangChain4j. So I'm a bit surprised by this, but yeah.
That's interesting.
But that's new people, new people coming because of Android. Oh, thank you, Google.
Okay.
We have a question, actually. We have Mario here. Go ahead.
enterprise in Java world that wants they need security, stability, be 100% sure of what you are doing, and doing stuff with something that is inherently unpredictable. So that's why we need stuff like Lisa said, we need guardrails, we need, for sure we need a more robust test framework, and we are working already to move it from Quarkus extension to we need to reassure Java people that are, like Dimitris said, the enterprise world, also to the world that brings money, but they bring money for a reason. They bring money because they want to do stuff in a stable way. And I'm personally in this. I entered in this world a little bit later than you guys, but to me, doing, for instance, the agentic module was sometimes like working on quicksand. I mean, like working on a moving target and adapt fast to failure. So that's the friction that I see. So we need to provide more reassure people that this is something that you can safely perform.
Maybe you should repeat for the recording.
I'm going to just
He speaks a lot. Let's give him a mic.
I will just do a quick summary for the recording and make sure that everybody's heard it.
Where's the LLM?
Please summarize.
I go in LLM mode here. No, so Mario is saying that the reason that probably Java companies are moving less fast into production is that they are very much set on control and checks. That yes, they make big money, but there's a reason. It's that they want this stability for big production systems and to be legally compliant. So that we're living this friction between they want. In the Java world, we would typically want these guardrails, this testing framework, which is going to come to LangChain4j, vanilla version, that we need this to secure the Java people that they can actually take this to production. But then at the other hand, there's things like when he was working on the agentic module, it's like trying to hit the moving targets. That's how fast everything changes. So yeah, we're trying to balance between stability, security, and being still cutting edge in a fast moving AI world.
We could hire you as an LLM summarizer.
Yeah,
right?
how did I do?
Great,
You
great.
can give a.
I had a question I want to ask sometime now. Last year, everything was about RAG, and
Oh yeah.
this year somehow disappeared. So, is it solved? Is it working for everyone, or
I
like
don't
why?
think so. I mean, last year I did an advanced deep dive session on RAG and also a session on advanced RAG techniques. And in spite of the fact that I wasn't really covering RAG, I got some people coming up asking questions about RAG. So it's definitely not. I mean, and there's also all the buzz around context engineering is killing RAG and all those kind of things, or long context windows are killing RAG. But I think RAG has some beautiful days ahead of it. So maybe we'll be doing things a little bit differently, or it's actually a demo. The first one I did it was last year. I did an agentic RAG because the naive RAG approach. I was going to say never yields good results. It's not that it never yields good results, but there are many cases where it won't give good answers to users' questions. But on the contrary, if you use a more agentic way, like using an LM to figure out, oh, there are actually several questions in one. Let me do different searches, and then you collect and gather all the responses, and you create a better response out of several answers. So I mean, there's an overlap between also RAG and agentic approaches. And I mean, there are anyway data that's customer data, user data that's not that you have to do something with, and people will want to search through that and get answers to their questions. And all the common use cases is still chatbots and asking questions about your own data. So no, RAG is still there, but it's just that it's not the buzzword of the year. So and my question would be: so we had LLMs 2 years ago, RAG last year, agents this year.
MCP.
What? Yeah, agents, but MCP A2A. But next year, what is it gonna be? Skynet. Okay.
I have some ideas on that question, but I'd like to come back to this, what happened to RAG. So the fact that we have advanced RAG to solve the problems that this naive RAG has, and I completely second you that in 99% of the cases, naive RAG will not give decent results. So I think RAG has partly been taken over by MCP servers, which are like a new way to interact with sources of information. So I think this context 7 MCP server that's very popular gives your coding assistant basically a way to check the latest documentation on any framework you might be using. And that's basically RAG, but it's wrapped in an MCP server and you didn't have to set it up yourself, and it's been shared with the world. So I think MCP managed to standardize many things and share easy LLM understandable access to so many sources of information. While RAG, it's been very much every company tries it on their own, and there's not been so much sharing of the resources. Like even if you have, say, a PDF with a graph in it, and it's important that this graph is understood to get also information for your RAG system, I think just that, I don't know.
It's still complicated to do.
Right? Yeah, and so it's like,
but
I hope it still
it's
gets
not
some
trivial, but it's still
standardization.
something. So it's a question I still often get about RAG, like those complex PDF cases. And
Yeah,
so on.
exactly.
But maybe indeed we'll be able to wrap things behind some MCP servers or A2A agents, etc.
And then everybody can use them right away.
But the basic technique under the hood is still, you need to search, maybe a vector search as well, and then you need to collate all the results and reason about that. So the principle of RAG is still alive. Let's say maybe not RAG.
It's the same idea, but instead of you fetching the data with the vector store and then sending it to the LLM, now it's the LLM fetching the data with an MCP server. Yeah. But it's the same idea and just working a little bit differently. But yeah,
the difference being you don't have control.
You have less control.
But I was discussing with an attendee yesterday, and I was talking about the agentic RAG approach, and that person had very different sources of information, and honestly, even if MCP servers can wrap things around, there are still things where you'll have more control if you handle the RAG pipeline yourself, if you want to have finer grained control and how to summarize maybe the data for something that's more verbose versus more factual, etc. If you really want top-notch results, you have to do it.
That's a mix, but like it took some
Yeah.
market share from RAG. Like when you use a GitHub Copilot, so basically they do a vector store of all your data, especially if you use it on GitHub, it's already done by GitHub. So there's a vector store, so there's RAG, but then GitHub Copilot uses a ton of tools to do stuff. So it's taking some of the, let's say, market share of RAG.
And I threw the slide also with the things that are coming that Dimitris gave me. So you can see, you know, there's quite a bit of work, which is like still it's foundational work, right?
Non-blocking APIs, yeah. Good luck.
There's one I like to highlight, which is the multimodality improvement, and in particular, that I think that's because of me that he added this one on the list, because so you've got newer models like Gemini, or there are also GPT models that do that. That in output they can also generate both text and images, for example. And you have, for example, there are some Gemini models that are also outputting voice. So you can interact via voice with models. So here it's especially in output. So being able to get all sorts of inputs and then or potentially all sorts of outputs, but then like the real, we see demos of this where you can interrupt via voice, basically a voice agent, but it's still something that we can't do with LangChain4j, for example. So I'm thinking that, and even you highlighted the non-blocking stuff. It's going to be super important for those cases where you mix modalities live. So it's not going to be request response, like wait for the user to finish to say something. Okay, I'm going to reply now. Blah, blah, blah. No, your users are going to barge in and mix modalities, and that's the future. And it is going to be complicated to support without proper reactivity.
So I've been honestly a bit disappointed by the audio support on LangChain4j. That's something we need to work on. But on Azure, we've got a cool thing which is real-time audio. But like really, you talk to it, it talks to you back like in real time. It's really crazy. It works perfectly well in the Azure portal with some .NET stuff. I'm super sad that we don't have this in Java because like the use case is like so obvious. But like you need good text-to-speech models, but like the real-time stuff. If you want also this to work with Quarkus and Spring, like
and
good luck.
No, it's complicated, but also making it work with function calling at the same time, etc. That's a complicated task. But I'm sure we'll tackle that. And also we learn along the way. So for example, that was in the slide, like what happened since last year, like the new chat model request. We changed the way so instead of just passing a string, or we created a chat model request object and a builder, etc. And this change is also because we learned along the way how to best use LLMs and how to best integrate with them. So we learn along the way, and I'm sure, for example, I've already talked with Dimitris about this, instead of the AI message class that is returned, it'll have to be something that returns not just with a get text or get content method. I forget the name of the method, but it will have to be get contents like the real content object that contains images, audio, etc. So it's a change we'll certainly tackle.
I have a question for Dimitris, in fact. For everything reactive, do you think it will be like Quarkus specific, or it will work better on Quarkus? Because that's so low level, I'm not sure you can have something.
Well, look, we definitely have all the infrastructure in place for any reactive work. I don't know. Like, I mean, we have the capability. If the need is there, we can certainly implement it. And the thing is, what I say with LLMs is the resource. Like, if you look at it like a database, whatever, it's so slow anyway. So, you know, it's optimizing for performance is not that hard to be also React. So, so I'm not convinced yet. Yeah. So
there's a question from, I was going to say from Aka. Pass the mic.
So it's a little bit strange that I will be. I work on a company that we have been saying you should do reactive from day one, but what I will pledge here, okay, if we are talking about non-blocking APIs and that's about streaming, great, that's very important. But what we need to make sure is that the calls to the LLMs, they are running on virtual threads, because that's the abstraction that we have now in the JVM. And those are very blocking. So we need to enable users to have a thread pool that is a virtual one, but abstract away from them that. So we give them optimized thread pool for IO running on virtual threads, which is different than streaming. Streaming, you need for
there are
audio.
different sides to that problem. Yeah.
So non-blocking APIs, I think the blocking APIs that look like block but are not blocking but are on virtual threads is what we should look for.
Yeah.
Point, thank you.
You've got to
we have another 5 minutes.
Yeah,
so
4 minutes left.
I have one quick question. Like the theme here was agents, right? So we saw lots of new efforts from Mario, from the ACA project, from Mbappel, from Cog.
Cog from JetBrains.
Yeah, so
you forget Google in ADK that I contributed to.
So it's a bit of a wild west, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any, I don't know, predictions like where the ball will stop? Who's gonna win, or will we have like tons of implementations?
No, I don't really have a crystal ball, but I think we all learn. I mean, the fact that there's competition, we also all learn from the good things others are doing. So, for example, I hadn't looked very closely at Coog, but there was a session this week at Devox about Coog, and I noticed some interesting features that I didn't even think for LangChain4j. Or so, for example, Coog is more like LangGraph in the sense that it's a graph of nodes and edges and so on. And for example, the notion of rollbacking something that had happened, you can do that more easily when you have a graph and the state of the graph. And oh wow, that's interesting, that's powerful. For transactional and especially long-running agents and with humans in the loop and so on. That's super interesting. So we'll learn from each other, and hopefully maybe 1 or 2 or 3, I don't know who will survive or continue to thrive at least, but we're learning from each other, I think.
It's interesting that you say that, because I read an interesting article for which AI projects gain incredible traction and go viral and which ones just die a silent death. And it's a function like of the value it will bring you, but also very much how easy it is to undo errors, because AI will at some point always do something stupid, and like just being able to roll back is extremely important.
Another crystal ball?
My crystal ball.
What's your crystal ball?
Oh, my crystal ball is like, let's see who gets the most moat. I suppose at some point there's going to be projects that stick out and that's going to get just more traction, because also the bigger companies that have integrations will start supporting them. So it's like the way that semantic kernel sadly got in Java at least off the chart is because LangChain4j and Spring AI took most of the moat. And I think we're going to see similar things in this agentic world. The question is which ones I cannot predict.
Oh, and for me, agents also, LLMs are pushing also to have fewer technologies. Like you're more productive in Java if you use like Quarkus or Spring, because the LLMs know them very well, so they will autocomplete or help you code, when you're with GitHub Copilot. And if you use your own homemade framework, well, it won't work as well. So basically, there's a push for open source. Widely used open source has got an advantage over the rest. So like that's at some point that's limiting the competition, which is sad, but that's what LLM do.
I think the winner will be, of course, like ease of use, and then cost control, because
yes,
nobody has talked about this too much, but all these agents, they're very hungry,
yes,
token hungry, and this costs money. So whoever can optimize this, I think that will be a winning proposition.
And with agentic frameworks, whether it's LangChain4j with the agentic module, ADK, etc. Let's do stuff in parallel. More tokens consumption. Or let's do loops for self-improvement. Yeah, more tokens.
In my talk just before, I was showing we've got some dashboard in Azure, and my demo costs like $0.50. So you see that it goes fast. Mostly because I'm using some MCP, which is not tuned, so we send a lot of tokens, and that
but in LangChain4j you can also filter the tools. So you could have filtered the tools to avoid
Yes, you
spending so
can
much.
filter tools. It's true.
Yeah.
Something that I think might be the next big thing, or should be the next big thing, is much more specialized LLMs, because very often, especially in agentic systems, you decompose the complexity and you get agents that have to do one thing very good, but not all the rest. For example, an agent that's going to just dispatch. And then I would like to have an LLM that's trained on just dispatching. It doesn't even have to answer in real language. It doesn't have to be able to do all these things. There's other other LLM systems I use to check, is this conversation done? Can we move to the next node? Which is like a kind of easy question. And I'm sure I could use a model that is like 1,000 times smaller. And I'm really interested to see if these things are going to get on the market. They will be smaller, faster, cheaper. As we've seen with re-ranking models, they just solve the problem. Is this piece of information relevant to the question, yes or no? They're super fast and super cheap. I think we need more
even
of that.
embedding models, just the fact that just what you have, like when you describe in A2A in particular, how would you describe the how is it called, the kind of questions you can ask to such A2A agents, the skills. Yeah, the skills. I mean, typically embedding models can help with, well, this query sounds so much like those skills that the agent has. So embedding models, re-rankers, etc., will have a good future, I think.
I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we're out of time. But we
Thank
could
you very
speak for
much that
hours.
you stuck around. And if you need even more LangChain, there's a buff tonight. If you don't care about the movie, because you come to the buff, you probably
when is
won't
the
enter
buff?
the movie. So
When is it?
Right before the
it's
movie.
before the movie, but I don't know. They will be queuing, you know.
Yeah, well, come to the buff.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll be there. So
Thank you.
thank you very much.